the question is, how do I measure temperature when we're doing the compaction and installation of the porous asphalt? There are several tools you can buy, and we just bought one that's like an infrared sensor, and we can check the temperature of the asphalt as it's being compacted, make sure we're in the right range. And you want to do that. You want to do that as soon as they get it out of the hopper and they've spread it out, check to see what that temperature is, and check it when they're rolling it, because if it is too hot, they need to stay off it till it cools just a little bit. That typically hasn't been a problem with it. For whatever reason, we seem to do all our installations in December and stuff for some reason, so it hasn't been a problem. But you want to have one of those tools with you, and you want to have your testing lab out there with the nuclear densometer to go ahead and make those tests as you're doing the compaction, so you know when to stop, hopefully up close to that 85% range. So when I see pockets of sealed off areas, that's what what do we do with that? It depends on how large the areas are. On the 8th Avenue project, we did have one area where the hopper got stopped, and when they rolled it out, there was a small area that was sealed off, but it was a small area. It was not even as big as this podium, so it was a small area. So we just, okay, fine, we got a little area that's not going to drain. And that's, again, keeping in mind that you're going to have so much excess capacity in this pavement, you're not going to need to be too concerned about small patches. Now, if you got into large patch, which I haven't had the issue of that yet, then we probably have to be talking removal. I did a project down in the town of Rainier down in Thurston County where we did have to pull out. It wasn't the asphalt, it was actually the rock. It looked like it was sheening up to me too much. I sent samples of that out to the lab, and sure enough, it was probably 5 to 6% over on the number 200 sieve, and I had to have him pull it out. Unfortunately, by that time, he'd actually installed the asphalt over top of it too, so you had to pull out about 400 feet of asphalt and rock and then reinstall that. So I mean, that's going to be your recourse during installation. If you have a serious issue, just have them pull it out. So the question is there any difference between the cost between 6422 and 7022? I haven't actually seen a difference in the cost of the asphalt. I know the asphalt mix as a whole comes in slightly higher, and I assume the asphalt cost is some portion of that. Because really the rock is the rock. I mean, there'll be a little additional processing there to get the fines out, because they usually have to do a little bit more work to get the mix in of several different aggregates to get that open graded material. And there's a little bit of extra work at the plants, and so there's a lot of factors get into it. I would have to say it's probably a relatively small factor in that, but there probably is a cost difference. Yes, thank you. It's like the magic part of this whole thing right now is, again, it's pretty critical to keeping that asphalt on the aggregate. And you got to think, when this is out there for many, many years, most of your regular asphalts that you put down, you're going to cover back over in 7 years or so. This one's going to need to be down and exposed to the sun, exposed to the elements for 20 or 30 years until it's finally totally failed and you go replace it. The failure mode or the replacement mode on this is more likely going to be, we haven't had it yet, more than likely will be grind it all up, send some of that back to the plant to mix into your new mix, and then put it right back down. But you're not going to have, there is no chip seal, there is no overlay, so when it does finally fail completely, it'll be a total replacement of the asphalt. You won't have to go down below that, but it will be a total replacement of the asphalt. In that way regarded, it's at least a totally recyclable material. You can recycle it all too.